So, hello, everybody. Welcome to September 3rd's Culture Chat when clocks collide, monochronic and polychronic time. So, we've had our month of August break, and the team's been planning and putting together lots of great things coming up. So let's just get started with a few announcements and then we'll turn it over to Syed, who will walk us through our next culture chat. So, again, we meet every other week. Our next culture chat is September 17th. And as you can see, every week thereafter and every other week thereafter. If you have any sort of culture chat topics you'd like to share, maybe you have an area of expertise or you want to trial something out for a presentation or yeah, anything, we'd love to have your ideas and or you sign up to be a potential participant. We have a couple dates left for this year. I think we have two dates left and I just forgot them off the top of my head, but we can get those to you. So we'd love to have you sign up and be a part of our culture chat community in that way. We have our next Crossing Cultures with Competence workshop. That's going to take place um, October 24th, the online one, the 24th and the 27th through the 29th. Terry is going to actually be at the CTAR conference and is looking for those who are also going to be at the CTAR conference if they want to add this Crossing Culture 2-day workshop either before the conference or after. So if you are interested in that, please get in touch with us and we'll help set that up for you. Those of you who've taken level 1, we have our level 2, and simply get in touch. And once we have a cohort that's interested in delivering or attending the level 2, we'll put that together. I forgot to update. August is not the next submission date for iTech. That is actually November 1st is our next iTech submission date. And congratulations to those of you who received your certification this last round. And those of you who are still working on it for the October deadline, do get in touch if you have questions, and we'll continue to host information sessions to help you through that submission process. The Interculturalist Circle. So I know some of you have reached out with regards to joining the Intercultural Circle. It's kind of changed. Next Culture Chat, Peter will have an update for you. And this is, having access to our materials, which currently everybody does, but it's a way to help support Culture Chat going forward. So it helps us sustain the chats that we do each week. So I'm going to introduce to you Syed Zafar, and he's probably not, not a stranger to most. In fact, you probably have seen him, whether on the socials or here even at our culture chats. But he's an intercultural trainer. He's an author, a storyteller, and he's been exploring cultural differences for over 30 years. He had a long 35-year career at ExxonMobil, and he has a computer science degree and an MBA. And he's turned his passion for working with people and cultures into his own work life. He's a lifelong learner, and he weaves humor, as you'll find out, real world stories to make these complex ideas around culture very practical and memorable. And he's also, if you haven't had the chance to grab his book, he's also the author of Crossing Cultures with Grace and Humor. So it is with great pleasure that we welcome back to our culture chat Syed Zafar. So I will turn it over to you.
Thank you very much. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. I'm just organizing my space here. Welcome everyone. I'm glad you guys are here. And if you guys are not here, I just cannot speak to just air. I need humans. And you can see the title of the slide. Let's move on. And I'm shamelessly plugging my book here, as you can see. And I retired 5 years ago, as some of you already know. And these are some of the things I'm keeping myself busy: teaching yoga, hiking. And I have several Toastmaster friends that I invited, and they are here: Pardosh, Levi, Angie. So these are my Toastmaster friends, and that's why they're here. Let's move on. Let's set some expectations first. So let's do interactive. There are lots of knowledge in the room. I want to make sure we take benefit of all your knowledge, collective wisdom. However, we only have 1 hour. If all of us get a chance to talk, we will never be able to finish this program. For that purpose, we will use chat feature. Feel free to share your ideas, ask questions. I will not be monitoring the chat because I'll be busy doing my presentation. However, if something comes up, we have several co-hosts in the room. They will sure speak up, and Nick Dunn, Tasha, Peter. So that's the plan. Of course, later on, after we do the breakout room and we come back, we will have some options. So hopefully some of you, if you want to speak up, we'll do that at that time. Sounds good? Give me thumbs up. Wonderful. Let's move on. Why the heck are we doing this? First, you would say, Syed, we already know all this stuff. How many times we have to go through the same material? Well, the funny thing is there are several people in the room who may have never heard of the concept, because we always get new blood in culture chat, what I've been seeing in the last 4 or 5 years. That's number one. Number two, even you are a cultural trainer, you may see someone else, how they present the material versus how you present it. You may see something different that you may like, you want to use it. The other thing is I'm sharing my personal stories related to this concept, and you can steal those stories and use it in your own programs. Also, this is a good place to practice your stories in a breakout room or put it in a chat, ask, this is a story I want to use, how would that go? So from that point of view, it's helpful as well. With that, let's move on to the program. So today we are focusing on an American anthropologist, Edward Hall. He wrote this book that I'm showing in this slide, The Dance of Life. He's the one who coined these terms, monochronic versus polychronic. Take a second to read what he said. And this one he said in a Washington Post article in 1985. So what Edward Hall believed is there are two distinct views of time, monochronic versus polychronic, which are different as oil and water. Our sense of time is learned, arbitrary. Just like language and behaviors, how we treat time, interact with time also changes from culture to culture. So to truly understand other people, we need to not only understand their languages and everything else, we need to understand their orientation to time. This is one of the key dimensions that allows people to how they organize their experience and activities. The mono means one and poly means many. That's where that Edward Hall's concept for one versus several is coming from. What I found the best example to illustrate this is, I'm going to bring on my next screen and hopefully everyone can see it. I'm going to assign roles. Pradosh, you are Roberto. Angela, you are Miss Thomas. And who do we have? Levi is Octavio. And who wants to be Rosita? Carolyn, you're Rosita. Go ahead and read the dialogues. Then we'll talk about it.
Hey guys.
Start speaking your roles.
Hey guys, I'm Roberto. Miss Thomas, how nice to see you.
Roberto.
Fine,
Roberto,
fine, thank you. What can I get for you?
To start with, I'd like half a dozen eggs.
Yes,
And then I'd like 500 grams of butter.
yes. Ah, Octavio, good to see you. ¿Cómo estás?
Bien, gracias. And you?
Bien, how can I help you?
I need some bananas.
Of course. Rosita, ¿cómo estás? I haven't seen you in a long time. How's that little boy of yours?
I think I didn't assign that one.
He's very well.
What can I do for you?
Roberto, I thought you were helping me.
But I'm helping you, Miss Thomas.
So this is the classic monochronic, polychronic. I love this dialogue.
You made me the Karen.
Yes. So Cross-Cultural Dialogues by Craig Storty. Craig Storty is an American trainer. I believe now he lives in Europe. He's still very active. He has several books. All of his books are so delightful to read. And I often, whenever I talk about monochronic, polychronic, I use this dialogue, which brings this up very clearly. What I wanted to share was, I grew up in Pakistan in very polychronic culture, but then I adopted monochronic because I worked for a large American corporation, ExxonMobil, for 35 years. So you will be assimilated. Resistance is futile. I wanted to share my personal story of this. In these polychronic cultures, as you notice, interruptions are common. I was visiting one of my distant uncle in Lahore, Pakistan, and he was a principal of a technical college. First of all, I show up there without telling him I'm coming. I enter into his office. He is talking to two groups of people. On one side, he's talking to two students for some disciplinary action. The other side, he has two professors sitting there. He's talking about next semester's curriculum. I walk in unannounced. He gets up, he shakes my hand, he hugs me, he introduced me to all those four people. Then he asked his assistant to start making tea. Tea is being made in his room, in his big office, and they're asking me for how much milk, how much sugar for this Pakistani tea. And all this conversation is going on. And then he just gets up and said, let me go and take you to your aunt. I live close by. And he just walks out of the room. Those two students are still sitting there. The two professors are still sitting there, and he just walked out. Now that is the amount of interruption that I was mentally not prepared, because even I did show up without announcing, because I know it's a polychronic culture, I can get away with it. But he could have told me, just wait, let me finish with these guys. So I remember this interruption story. Feel free to share your ideas through chats and everything. So look at this. This is how people think when they think of monochronic versus polychronic. These are the words that come to mind. I'm going to give you a few seconds to look at them. So monochronic, what you are used to is time is money. Time is very valuable. Polychronic, the concept of time is money doesn't really even exist. I still remember vividly my daughter, Sophia, when she was 4. It was a weekend and I asked her to do something. And she came back and said, I said, did you do it? Dad, I have no time. I'm very busy. I look back on my childhood at age 4. I did not have concept of time that is something passing. I think it's the culture that teaches you all that without letting you know that it's teaching you. You think it's natural and normal. The other funny story I have about time is when I was married to Joyce, blonde hair, blue eyes, European American, growing up in Akron, Ohio. And we were in Pakistan first time. And it was middle of the night, we were all sleeping. And suddenly my uncle knocks the door. We all wake up. My mother and my sister go to the kitchen, start making tea and snacks. Keep in mind, this is midnight. And we take the uncle to the living room. We start talking to him. And he says, oh, your wife is here. I said, yeah, my wife is here. Can I meet her? So I go to the bedroom. I wake Joyce up. I say, Joyce, my uncle is here. He wants to meet you. She said, what? This is midnight. Midnight is for sleeping, not talking to people. I am not going. I went back to my uncle and said, she's not feeling well. Of course, he would have figured that out, that she didn't want to get up. But of course, as a high context culture, indirect culture, you just give the message and the person gets the message. They don't push it too hard. The other way to think of monochronic versus polychronic is the monochronic time, people live in a clock time. Clock is the master, clock rules the life. Once clock is given the power, it runs things. Polychronic, on the other hand, is known as the felt time. You feel it. You do things based on what you need to do, the change in the nature and the rhythm. Take a second to look at the screen, then I'll tell you a few stories. When Native Americans first arrived, when the European settlers first arrived and they interacted with Native Americans, they said, white man is strange. He looks at his watch and he says it's time to eat. I still remember Joyce having a dinner ready at 6 p.m. And she says, sit down, we need to eat with the children. I said, I'm not hungry. She said, that's not my problem. We eat at 6 o'clock. It is 6 o'clock. So once we give the clock the power, then how you feel, that is not that important. How do monks know when to wake up? When they see the veins in their arms. In Pakistan, babies sleep with mothers. And whenever the baby wakes up, but the baby gets fed. Whenever baby needs to eat. And now I became recently a grandfather. I don't know why they are trying to make me old. And she has been already taught not only to sleep in another room, but not getting fed now for several hours till she cries. Then they go to the room. Whole different clock time is being taught to this 3-month-old baby right now, right here, versus sleeping with mother and getting breastfed whenever the food is needed. Isn't that funny? If you haven't seen this book before, get this book. It's so funny and so interesting, as I'm showing that in the slide as well, A Geography of Time by Robert Levine. Take a second to read the screen, then I'll tell you the stories. The stories, so event time. There are sometimes musicians from India or Pakistan come to play music in a big auditorium here in Houston. And before the event begins, in order to attract people, there are specific small Pakistani Indian radio programs where they announce it. And they always say, this time we will start on time. Make sure that you are there on time. Now, all these people go to work every day. They know how to follow clock. But this is a musical event that is on the weekend in the evening, and it's not work related. And then I show up on time. Even the window where you give the tickets is closed. No one shows up at least an hour late. Program starts 2 hours late minimum. I did talk about this and several other such stories also in my book as well. Also, I remember my sister's wedding in Pakistan that started 3 hours late. And there was a chaos. Everyone is running around all different places. No one is knowing what's going on. There is no system, no process. Everything is completely chaotic, polychronic. And then there is no end time for the wedding because there are so many rituals there that no one can even figure out what the end time would be. For example, at one point, the bride's close friends hide groom's shoes because groom has to pay them money because he is taking their friend away from them. Now, it depends on what the negotiation skills of the groom and groom's brothers and friends and father to deal with these girls who are asking more money. No one knows how long the negotiation will last. So there's no way you can plan ahead of time when this wedding will come to an end. That is event time. Event begins when everything for the event is there, and event ends when the purpose of the event has ended. When I told about this concept in one of my programs a few years ago, after the class, a South American woman came to me and she said, this happened to me. I was brand new to the United States and invited some friends over on Friday at 4 p.m. They showed up at 4 p.m. I was shampooing my hair in the bathroom and the door was knocking. I didn't expect anyone to show up till 6. So the question is, go ahead and read this for a second, and then we can bring it a little bit to the business side. How does that impact the business world? So one time I was asked to do a program within ExxonMobil for 90 South Americans from all different countries. They were meeting in Coral Gables, Florida for a 3-day conference. And my job was to go there and do half day of cross-cultural awareness for them. And it was after lunch. I set up everything. I was in the room exactly on time to start the program. Not a single South American out of those 90 people was in the room. And these are ExxonMobil employees, and they know how time is important to an American corporation. Of course, they were all at lunch and they were just taking their time. So that was a good material for me to, because we were covering several concepts, when I came to the cultural time concept, I pointed their own behavior to them that, of course, program started about 10 minutes late. They were all there, but it did not start on time. And that would have been very different if it would have been in Houston, ExxonMobil campus with Americans. There's no way a program will start 10 minutes late. Now, we do have employees also ExxonMobil in Nigeria. And Nigeria, and Levi, you may have some experience. I know you're not from Nigeria, but you're at least from the same continent. Things do not start exactly on time. Now, so there are a bunch of people in a meeting room somewhere in Nigeria, and then ExxonMobil people are sitting in a meeting room here. One of the person told me that one technique we use to manage this is we order food for Nigerian side. If there's a food in the room, people do show up on time. They figured that out by themselves. The other technique people say, if a supervisor is meeting a subordinate and it's going to be one-on-one meeting, he knows the guy is going to be late. So what they do is they give 2 times. For the US people, it would be 1 time, and for them, a 30 minutes earlier time. So they will show up within 30 minutes. And if they don't show up, if I'm the one having the meeting, I just keep working on my other stuff and just wait. I know the cultural difference is such that they may not be on time. So you accommodate, you come up with ways to manage the situation. Now, recently, I'm going to send you this link at the same time. So you have that. Open the chat and link. I recently published this article based on the experience I had teaching dental equipment salespeople how to manage dental clinic owners in Houston area, because they are foreign born and many of them are from India and Pakistan and the Philippines and Colombia and Egypt and the Philippines, you name it. And of course, we focus a lot on individualism, collectivism, and hierarchy and egalitarian, but we also talked about time, because the sales cycle is longer in many of those countries. So I told them, expect a slower, more relaxed approach to time, where delays and reschedulings are common and not considered disrespectful. Plan extra time in your schedule, stay patient, and focus on building relationship instead of showing frustration. And many of them recognized, there were about 30 of them in the room with me for 4 hours. And they did notice that behavior, and that this concept provided them at least a reason why these people acting the way they are acting. So take a second to look at this. This is according to one author, as you can see where the source is on the bottom left. explains how people are spread in the world, culture-wise, from one end to the other. Easiest way to remember this, of course, we just need to know the concept exists. That doesn't mean each and every country is exactly the place where it's supposed to be. However, in general, Asians, South Americans, Africans, Arabs are going to be more on a polychronic side. Western Europeans, Canada, US, England, Dutch, Scandinavians, they are going to be more on the monochronic side. Now, we do have 3 minutes left before I wanted to go for breakout rooms, so I do have time to share my final story. I was leaving this story as a side in case we run out of time. So here's a personal story. This is my father who passed away a few years ago. And this is about 20-ish years ago. He wanted to visit his father, my grandfather's grave. The thing is, we moved from Peshawar, where we were living, where he was living with us and he passed away, to Karachi, which is more than 1,000-mile distance between the two cities. So about 20 years ago, I was visiting him and he said, I want to see the grave of my father. His father, my grandfather. I took him, my mother, and one of my sisters. We traveled to Peshawar. Our main goal was to visit the grave and put some flowers. When we got there, we were able to find the area, the graveyard area. It was a very big area. And we took a taxi there, and taxi driver is waiting for us, and we walked in. The area was chaotic. It was completely polychronic. Some of the places, graves disappeared. Someone tried to create some kind of a housing there. Some graves were put on one grave on the top of another grave. But we knew we actually had the cemented situation, as you can see in the picture. And we are walking around, one going one direction, one going other direction in this big area looking for grave. We spent about more than an hour in this hot weather looking for the grave while holding these roses that we're supposed to put on the grave. Finally, people around us start talking to us. It says, what are you? Who are you? What are you doing here? We explained to them we are looking for this grave. Believe it or not, several people running around keep asking, what is the last name? What is the name? And they are all searching for the grave. Now, we don't know these people from Adam. Now, taxi driver is sitting there more than an hour. He's not coming and yelling to us, my meter is running. When are you going to be done? How much extra money you're going to give me? Nothing. Everything is calm. About 2 hours later, we finally gave up. We said we didn't find the grave. As we are walking towards the taxi, one guy starts running, comes behind. He said, I found it. I found it. And he takes it to the grave. And my father was able to put the flowers there. When I told this story to my wife at that time, Joyce, she said, if they would have organized the place, the whole mess would not have happened to begin with. So we are exactly where we needed to be, 30 after. And Peter, we have the breakout rooms. So he bring it to breakout room expectations. And let me go ahead and put that into, you will have hopefully full 15 minutes there. And let me put this in chats. All simple you have to do is think of your stories of monochronic or polychronic. I put them in the chat. Share your stories. If you are a trainer, you want to try a new story, you can practice with these people. We are making a breakout group of 3, especially 3 instead of 4 or 5. So you have at least 5 minutes to share your thoughts and your stories. And any questions, comments before we open the breakout rooms? Going once, going twice. Peter, go for it.
Okay, here we go.
Thank you, sir. I was just taking a picture of the screen, so I'll have a proof that all of you were really there and it was not my imagination and my dream.
Okay.
And we'll open up the floor. You can use, there is a raise hand feature available in chat. I mean, in the participant list under, so then we will see your hands in the participant list. Whoever has their hands first, go ahead and make your comment. Share your story, share someone else's story. Yes, we have, let me go to the participant list. It gives me who raised the hand first. Eliona raised the hand first. Go ahead, Eliona.
Thank you. Well, first of all, we had a great discussion in the breakout room, and I just want to share how frustrating it is to listen to somebody suggesting that polychronic cultures are often relationship-based cultures, so people want to give attention to other people, and that's why it may be correlated. And at the same time, look at the time running down and like seeing that your chat is going to close in 15, 14,
Exactly.
20 seconds.
That often happens in my program. They say,
That is
what are we doing?
such
Are we
an
in monochronic time?
Yes. We had some great stories and something that I wanted to share in the group, but I didn't have time to. But I think it's important that it's not just the cultures, but within cultures, there may be differences in time perception. And some time ago, I listened to a podcast about ADHD and how people with ADHD have a different time perception. Well, it's not that I was trying to diagnose myself, but I found some similarities that people with some sort of diagnosis, they may have a different perception of time. And like if they don't do something right now and start a different task, they may stay on that task for a much longer time that they have actually. So just a small remark on that.
That's a good point. That's a really, really good point. That's a good point. Bettina, you are next. Bettina or Bettina, I guess. Please go ahead.
Bettina.
Bettina.
Yes.
Bettina, please go ahead.
I had commented in the chat that often the United States is grouped together, and there are many of us who are from polychronic cultures, collective cultures within the United States. And so we have to code switch
Yes.
between monochronic and polychronic cultures. And it was interesting during our discussion, someone brought up travel, like air travel.
Yeah.
And do we code switch to air travel? And I said, in my family and in the general community, I live in an African American community. We attend African American church. Most of my friends are African American, and I said that where I can see the difference in time is what time you need to arrive at the airport. So if you're international travel, if it's 2 hours, then my family would probably be there an hour before you're supposed to leave. If they say be there an hour before,
Yeah.
they may be there 30 minutes before, and then their luggage is not going to make it, to the destination. And these are actual things that happen. Or the issue of, did we have to stop and pick up everybody? Or are we supposed to wait for each other at the front and we're going to be late together. We're going to all miss the plane together is an expectation in a polychronic culture in my family's iteration of a polychronic culture. But I leave people all the time. And so I'm always considered to be rude because I was raised as a military brat. And so in my early years, I was raised in, my father's profession was in a monochronic culture, but my father was raised in a polychronic culture.
Got it.
So
Yeah, I think
when he was not at work, he was very polychronic.
Correct. Yeah, I was also raised in a military household in Pakistan, which is polychronic, but my father, working for Air Force, we always showed up exact on time and everywhere, and we were the only ones sitting there. Now, you are very correct. Many of the core cultures in the United States, the African American, the Hispanics, the Asians, many of them are, as I'm giving you the example of the radio program, tend to be a little bit more monochronic when they have the opportunity to be monochronic. But polychronic when they have the opportunity, when they are socializing with each other. If I'm invited to a group of Pakistani friends, we will ask, is it going to be Pakistani time or American time? So we establish that ahead of time. So then we act accordingly. So that's very, very common.
We say white time or our time.
Yeah. if you look at the old books that I was reading in the 80s, it was clearly mentioned the African American time, BP time, Black people time. It was actually mentioned like that, but we no longer use those terms anymore, but they were very common when I was reading first time this literature in the 80s.
We still say CP time. We say colored people time. Yeah, if we're talking amongst each other.
Yeah. So let's go to Tanya.
Hi, thanks. I just had a question about your training on the dental equipment salesman.
Please.
I was curious, once the salespeople understood the skill sets to their polychronic customers.
Yes.
Did they ask questions about how they were going to then integrate that knowledge into their sales criteria? Because my guess is that their performance reviews were based on linear project management schedules. Like a milestone would be, I've had an initial meeting. So the question is about, I'm wondering if they asked the follow-up question to, okay, now what do I do about this? Because it's a different world that I have to now fit into my, my boss's evaluation of me.
Correct. So the good news is their supervisors and managers were in the room. They were all from Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, Houston. So their supervisors and managers were there. So they learned that as well right there. They recognize, I also gave them the statistics that how sales cycle is different in some of those countries where these people come from. So I think they had a good understanding. I think the first step is now they don't think these people are just crazy and they are just disorganized, period. They have a whole another level of understanding. This is coming from a cultural value. So I think that's the first hurdle I was trying to cross. Because a woman said near the end, now I'm not going to be that angry and frustrated on these people. Now I know at least where they are coming from. I don't agree what they're doing, but at least I have the understanding. So I think it's a step by step. Everything is not going to be solved. What you brought up, the issue, very common. They may still have issues, but then if the boss is saying to them, now they can, you remember we attended this program, these people don't act like the Americans do. So let's move on. In case of time, we only have one time we have 2 questions left. Let's quickly do it, and then we will finish. So Annette, go ahead.
Hi, thanks. Just wanting to reach out, and maybe people can write their answers to this in the chat. I'll be very brief. In our breakout room group, there was some discussion on whether the awareness does the work, or whether there needs to be a second step, whether first it's awareness and then it's behavioral change. And then, of course, we referenced Milton Bennett's IDI developmental inventory. And my understanding of that is he said that those are not linear stages for everybody. So I'm wondering actually whether we can apply synchronous polychronic time, monochronic time to that IDI developmental inventory. So if I just pose that as a agree, disagree question to everybody, I'd be really interested to take a little litmus test. So do you think that the IDI and people's kind of awareness necessarily goes awareness then behavior? Yes or no?
Correct.
Is the question clear? Yeah, make the question clear for me, Syed.
I think go ahead and type it into chat clearly. There are several people here who may be thinking, who's Milton Bennett, or what is IDI? IDI, just type it in, intercultural development
inventory.
And then if you take the test, it has to be person who you pay some money, who is certified to test you. And once you get your results, it puts you on a curve. Are you at the bottom where you think no other culture exists? versus you are all the way up there, like Retna was talking in the breakout room. She's so natural, she's chameleon, wherever she is, she adapts quickly, naturally, and she doesn't even know I'm dealing with a cultural difference. It's so much part of her personality now. So between this to that end, there are about 3-4 stages to go through. And what you're asking is, how does that relate to monochronic, polychronic? We have Dynamite. I know your name is not Dynamite. Your name is Mark Holman and from Europe. And thank you for attending. And we only have 1 minute left, half minute left. Can you turn on your microphone? We cannot hear you.
Thank you. And nice to see you, Syed, and listening to you. I'm based in Belgium, and I'm very much exposed to the French TV. And they have documentaries called Des trains pas comme les autres, trains different from the others. You can find them easily on YouTube. If some of you, I have extracts of those documentaries, and it's really showing very clearly the difference. Once he is in a Shinkansen in Japan, and he asked to a guy, "Do you take this train very often?" And the guy said, "Every day for the last 30 years." And then he says, "How many times was he late the train?" He said, "Never in 30 years." Then you have the French guy waiting in the desert in Namibia in front of rain. And the train is supposed to be there at 8 o'clock. It's already 9. And suddenly arrives a lady living there and says, "Is it here, the train station?" Said, yeah, don't worry. Said, "Yeah, but it's 9 o'clock. It was supposed to be there at 8. Yeah, she said, "But it's between 8 and 11. And sometime he's late. But don't worry, he will come."
Well, it is the end of the time, and we are very strict in terms of using monochronic time for this meeting. I'll turn over back to you, Peter. Thanks for attending. And I'm glad, hopefully you got something out of it. Peter, back to you.
Yeah, no, obviously Tasha's just had to dive off, but thank you very much, Syed. It's great as always. Always appreciate you coming on, and look forward to hopefully seeing all these faces back in 2 weeks' time. The advert for the next one will be out probably in the next 3-4 days, and yep, see you in 2 weeks.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you for coming. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you.
So much. Great session.
Yeah, very good. Very good.